All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to the Holler. tnholler.com is where you can find us at the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook. And we also have all of these other hollers hollering all across the state. Thanks to your support. We really do appreciate it. Your donations are what keep us going. And then, as always, we want to send a shout out to a few special supporters of ours. Elisa Parker, if you're buying or selling in Middle Tennessee, do it through her. If you get in trouble, Patrick, and you need a lawyer, Abby Rubenfeld is who you should use. She's a rock star. And then if you need any jewelry for any particular reason, AJ Martin, not your grandmother's jewelry store. We appreciate all the support they have given us. And again, chip in a few bucks monthly goes a long way. All right. Today we have a special guest, somebody that I've been aware of for a long time because of the good work that he does over at the Nashville Scene Editor-In-Chief, Patrick Rodgers. Appreciate him being here. And you should definitely check it out and check out their BONER Awards, which is my favorite issue every single year. And it's what we're going to talk about today. Patrick, how you doing today?
Doing great, Justin. Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for having us on your cover. I wanted to start by thanking you for that. There's an issue not too long ago that you had, which was written by a writer of yours named Alex Ramirez, and he did an incredible job with the article. And we really do appreciate you featuring us on there, featuring me on there. He came and did a thorough job. I thought it was fair, and I just never got a chance to thank you for that. So first of all, I wanted to thank you for doing that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you do a lot of hard work, and we thought it was worth digging into. Alex is a great writer. He's my managing editor over here and just a really great reporter too. So he's the right man for the job. I was really pleased with that. So thanks for helping us get it done too.
So more importantly, what we're here to talk about today is the all-important BONER Awards. Here's the cover that you guys just put out yesterday, the BONER Awards. The art is always great. It's a trip down memory lane. And so I wanted to start by asking, how does this work? Like, is there a committee? Are there submissions? What's the process for the BONER Awards?
Yeah. We used to run it under a collective byline, the Committee of Bellyachers. These days, I just call it the by scene staff. It's funny. We actually keep a running list. Basically, the day the BONER Awards issue drops every year, I start on the next year. We just keep a running document that our staff all has access to, shared document. And sort of as the year goes by, we just kind of keep things in mind that we know will be good contenders, good candidates, and kind of stock this running document with links to our coverage, to other people's coverage as things come up. And, then toward the end of the year, my editorial staff and I get together, go over it, see what we've left out, see what fits the bill, sort of philosophically with what the issue is, always making sure we punch up, going over it, kind of assigning it out, and then just sort of sorting it out, working with an illustrator to get those. This year was Holly Carden, who's done it a couple times before. She's just a phenomenal illustrator. I'd like to use her every time. Our art director, Elizabeth Jones, likes to mix it up a little bit, but Holly just gets it. She gets the voice. She gets what we're going for. She can turn things around quickly. As you can see there, Gabrielle Hansen, among other BONER Award winners on the cover. She just kills it every year. So I'm really, really happy with it.
Yeah, and she's sitting there on the back of the Proud Boys, and then you can see the salute is a particularly formed salute, and there's the country store in the background. So I got to ask, was this year particularly fruitful for boners?
It sure was. I feel like each year it's kind of like, we sure have a lot to work with. There hasn't really been a year in Tennessee politics where we've been like, everybody just nailed it this year. And like I said, probably the bulk of these, maybe not the majority, but the biggest chunk of them tends to be the Tennessee legislature. When you've got a super majority like we have, it kind of runs amok. There's just a lot to work with, So it's never too tough. Sometimes it's a little tougher cutting it down, and again, making sure everything kind of fits the philosophy of it. We're not, trying to make fun of people who are, just don't have any power and had a bad day. It's really sort of punching up at the people who are elected officials, business owners, country music superstars who do racist things. That's sort of the folks who are in the, who are fair game to us.
Yeah, you're singing our song with that. When we first started the Holler, we started during session, And it was like, oh, there's a lot to talk about here, but what are we going to do after session? Is there going to be anything to talk about? And for 5 years, there has never not been something to talk about. So it's really more about sifting through all the nonsense to figure out what you want to focus on. So I feel your pain there. Just to clarify here, and this is something I probably should have led with, we're being asked, who is it about who's got the biggest boner? People need to understand why it's called the Boner Awards, and it's not because of why you might think.
It's true. It just so happens that Nashville had a mayor who had a remarkably perfect name to be our namesake for these awards. This is our 34th annual. So that means we started in, I think, 90. Mayor Bill Boner is the namesake of the Boner Awards. If you don't know much about his tenure, his single term in office, it's worth looking up. He kind of, it was just a scandal ensconced term he had, and that sort of inspired my predecessor, then editor-in-chief Bruce Doby, to name the awards after him. And it's just too fitting. It's too perfect. Your name's Boner. Boner means screw up. There's endless entendre possibilities with it. So that's what we've stuck with. And it's true. We got a lot of new Nashvilleians, got a lot of young people who don't necessarily know that. So every year I try to throw at least a little something in the intro, giving that context. And frankly, some of the stuff that the mayor did is quaint compared to what these guys are doing these days.
It's unbelievable. And it's a real trip down memory lane, because it's hard to believe all this stuff happened just this year. You led off with Franklin. You led off with Gabrielle Hansen, who John Oliver lampooned on his show, and Tennessee has been a regular appearance on John Oliver and SNL lately. How did you decide to start with Gabrielle Hansen?
I mean, it just kind of, sometimes you get this gut feeling that's like, I don't think there's going to be a bigger one than this. It's kind of similar to how we do every year. It's kind of a palate cleanser. We also do Nashvilleian of the Year. That issue is coming up in a couple of weeks, where it's somebody who's done good work, maybe in activism or philanthropy. That's kind of the same sort of feeling. You get this feeling. It's like, man, it keeps coming back to this person or these people. That's kind of, how it was with Gabrielle Hansen for the dark side. I mean, it was just one thing after the next, as you know so well. I mean, using, literal neo-Nazis as your security and coming out against pride celebrations. And then we see that your husband's wearing a Stars and Stripes thong at a pride celebration. It's like, come on. Like, it's like, are you trying to get on our cover?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it really was. You have the list here, and people should obviously read the issue cover to cover. Go pick it up. Nashville Scene, always doing good work. But it was kind of a trip down memory lane, for us especially. And, one of the ones that we broke, actually, that I feel like people are already forgetting about, but I just could not believe it when we had it, was the McNally story. McNally on Instagram thirsting for, young gay males. It's just unbelievable. And if there's kids around, maybe cover their eyes for a second. But, these posts that Governor McNally was posting, was commenting on, were just unbelievable. And they're worth remembering what he was doing through all this. And then, of course, SNL picked it up and talked about it. Where were you when you first heard about the McNally thing? And were you as incredulous as we were?
Oh my God. I mean, if you've covered the state legislature for a while, or even just paid attention to it for a while, you kind of know McNally's he's got this sort of grandpa energy to him. And it was just so peculiar. And, take him at face value. Maybe he was just like, I was just supporting the young man. Okay, man. And, even if that's the case.
Kind of you to say.
Yeah. Even if that's the case, though, it's just sort of like, man, come on. Somebody on your comms team or something could have let you know this is not maybe the account to be leaving heart eyes and flame emojis on.
I'm telling you, we were told that by somebody on, and most of what we end up doing is just sifting through our inboxes to figure out what's real and what isn't. And somebody told us this, and I looked at it, and I'm like, no way.
It seems fake.
It seemed fake. And I clicked through, and I'm sitting there looking at Instagram, and then I go through the guy's account, and there he is, and his official Lieutenant Governor McNally Instagram, and he's heart eyes and fire emojis. And I'm like, how is this real life? And so I screen recorded it, because I was like, the minute we post this, it's going away. So I did everything I could to preserve it. And then sure enough, he's admitting to it not too much later. And yes, you're right. How does his staff not tell him at least what a burner account is?
I think one of my favorite jokes that Molly Kearney, who played McNally on that Weekend Updates segment on SNL, I think my favorite joke was when in character McNally said, well, I tried to leave it under a sneaky account. Well, what was the handle? Lieutenant Governor McNally.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Let's go ahead and watch a little bit of that.
Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally was caught using his verified Instagram account to engage with provocative photos of a young gay man. Here to comment is Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally.
Sorry I'm late. I spent all day printing out MapQuest directions.
Oh, so good. Hang on, sorry.
Just nailed
it. It froze on me. Anyway, you get the point. People should go watch that clip. Another one that we were kind of involved with that you list, and this is another one where it's like hard to believe, is Governor Lee wearing drag in high school. Just unbelievable that as these guys are pushing all this anti-LGBTQ stuff, to have these things come out. And then, we were there at one of his press conferences, and he didn't want to talk about it, but I wasn't going to let him get away with not talking about it. So this was a clip of me confronting him. And I got to tell you, ever since I did this, his press conferences have been RSVP only because he doesn't want us showing up anymore at his press conferences. What did you think when you saw that?
I mean, come on. The sort of the implication that drag shows are designed to indoctrinate children is just absurd. And then you see, it's like, it just kind of shines a light on the hypocrisy of it all. It's like, he's like, what we're talking about is this shouldn't be happening in public in front of minors. It's like, sir, you were in public in front of minors when you dressed in drag. I mean,
exactly.
Obviously drag is not a dangerous thing. It's obviously not something that's designed to indoctrinate children. And that was just kind of, it couldn't have been more emblematic of sort of the hypocrisy of the GOP and this, particularly in the state, and just coming after marginalized people. Like, it's symbolic, obviously, what they're trying to do with the drag community. We already have laws in place that make it illegal to expose yourself in public. Obviously,
Bingo.
If somebody were to do that at a drag show in a public place, that's already illegal. So what you're really doing is symbolic. And I just thought that was kind of the perfect example of highlighting his hypocrisy. It's like, look, man, here you are in a dress. Obviously, nobody was shocked and incensed when that happened. So, come on.
Right. No, I think that's absolutely right, that we already have those laws. It's already illegal. This is all just targeting LGBTQ folks, and our state has the most anti-LGBTQ laws in the entire country. Dr. Mordechai makes a good point, though, that Lee has nice legs, and that's an important point to point out. He did have some nice legs. I got to hand it to him there. But I'm just, when I'm sitting here looking at the Boner Awards, and obviously I've had a front row seat to a lot of this stuff, you'd be hard pressed to find another state that could out ridiculousness us. Do you feel like Tennessee has more than its share of this stuff?
Well, it's hard to say. I've lived here my whole life, so it's kind of like the thing about a frog in a boiling water. The heat keeps getting turned up, and they don't know to jump out. It's like, I don't know if I know that Texas is bad. I know Alabama, Louisiana. There's other state legislatures who kind of run amok, but it's true when you look at what we lead the country in. It's things like anti-LGBTQ legislation. When you look at the things that we trail the country in, it's things like education, so it's unfortunate, especially because we have a lot of people in the state who don't agree with those policies. So yeah, I do think, again, I've lived here my whole life. It's hard to say, but it sure feels like every year, a supermajority is not a great thing in any state, right? When you've got so many Republicans in the state house that they technically don't even need Democrats to show up to call a quorum, that's, no single party should have that kind of sway over a state's legislation. So
right. I think that is kind of what the Boner Awards tells us. It's like, this is what happens when one party has so much power that they really don't have to worry about moderating in any way, shape, or form. And actually they're in a race to the extreme, because the only thing that matters is primaries. If they even have one, a lot of places don't even have an election in this state anymore. So I think it's it's funny, but it's also not that funny because it's a reminder of how far things have gone and how extreme things are. Just as a final one to ask you about, because we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it, the Covenant shooting happened and then the Tennessee 3 happened. And this is a great cartoon you guys have of the Tennessee 3 being celebrated and Sexton banging his gavel. You guys made a point here that it backfired. I think it's pretty safe to say that backfired, right?
Absolutely. I mean, come on. It was like gift wrapped to the Tennessee Democrats. Like, here, just literally turn these 3 into national figures. They're meeting the president, something that we try to keep in mind with the Boner Awards is sort of intent, right? It's like the Republicans got away with what they were trying to do. So if a Boner Award is for a mistake, it wasn't a mistake. They said, we're not going to take on red flag laws. They said all this stuff, and then they did it. The failure was in, essentially turning these 3 legislators into, martyrs, people who are emblematic of the party, brought in millions of dollars in donations to the Tennessee Democratic Party. That is surely not what Sexton and Lambert and McNally and the rest were trying to do. Unfortunately, again, because of the supermajority, they get away with their goals pretty frequently. But when they do something like step in it and turn their opponents into heroes, or, when the governor says, we're going to do something about public safety and gun regulation, and then they do nothing, and he says, well, we gave it a good shot, we're not going to try again. I mean, come on. So I really think that one, probably, even though Gabrielle Hansen was just too perfect to not put on the cover, I think Sexton and the rest turning the 2 Justins and Gloria into sort of, national figures. That's just like how, that's here's your Boner Award. You just tripped over it.
Absolutely. Nobody's done more to move Tennessee forward than Cameron Sexton in the last, in this past year and the mistakes that he's made. Well, again, it's the Boner Awards. It's Nashville Scene. It's at D. Patrick Rodgers on Twitter. Definitely give him a follow. Keep following all the Nashville Scene reporters. They do a lot of great work. And again, thank you for the focus on the holler and that one issue that you guys had. It meant a lot to us. So thank you for doing that.
Thanks a lot, Justin. Appreciate you having me. And thanks for the work you guys do too.
Appreciate it. All right. Take care. That's Patrick. Appreciate him coming on. Boner Awards are great. If you guys have not seen the issue, you absolutely got to check it out and definitely support the scene. There's not a lot of great publications in this state that, are willing to take on a lot of the stories that they're willing to take on. So, definitely support them and support journalism. And Boner Awards, always fun. Thanks for following. We'll see you next time.